Hi Diamond Bar, my name is Andy Williams, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make candy corn trees. So let's get started with our craft today. So what we want to do first is we want to gather all of our supplies. We want to gather, I used 3 different size styrofoam cones. You can pick the sizes, it's really up to you depending on how you want to style this in your home. This craft, I do want to mention, can be easily interchangeable, all depending on what color yarn you pick. So if you want to do this for Christmas, you can do a variation of shades of green, or maybe incorporate some red into this craft as well. But for today's purposes, we're going to be focusing on Halloween. So we're going to make these candy corn trees. So I chose to pick 3 different shades here of yarn, all to represent the candy corn. So I have my orange, my yellow, and my white. The other things that you're going to need is you're going to need a pair of scissors, some hot glue, obviously a hot glue gun, and a Sharpie. If you don't have a hot glue gun, there are some glues out there that you can substitute this with, including some E6000. That would work really well for this project as well. So the first thing you want to do when you get started with this craft is you want to mark out where your transitions are going to go. So where your white, where your orange, and where your yellow is going to go. And honestly, the great thing about this craft is you don't have to measure. It's really your preference. So I just take my Sharpie and I make little marks on my styrofoam cone, just so I have a little guidance when I start wrapping it with ribbon. So I like to do a little higher up for the yellow. I want my orange, I kind of like it where my orange is the largest section, so I make that a little bit bigger, and then I do a smaller top, just because that's my preference and I think that's how I would like mine to look. But again, you can do it equal parts. You can make some bigger, you want more white, you just start and stop the ribbon wherever you want. So once you're done with that, you're gonna take your first color. So in my case, this is gonna be yellow. If you don't already have your yarn started, you wanna go ahead and start your yarn. The most important thing is when you go to start this, I like to do a full 2 times of hot glue around here before I start just wrapping my yarn around. So let's go ahead and do that right now. When you're using a hot glue gun, it's always important too to make sure that you put something underneath it. You don't want to damage any of your table, so you want to make sure that you're covering all of your surfaces when you're working with hot glue. And I like to do this in working in little sections at a time. So I just put a little hot glue, I take my yarn, I do want to get as close to the bottom as I can. Be careful because it is hot. So I just lightly tap it down. It's okay if you don't get right at the bottom's edge. We're going to actually wrap around this several times. So anytime you do this, you can always go back and add more yarn. So like I said, I like to do 2 full rows of hot glue with the yarn before I just freeform wrap, just to ensure that it's gonna stick, that nothing is gonna unravel. So as you can see, I made my first loop around with the yarn, and then I'm gonna jump right above that and just start my second row. And again, I'm just gently tapping these down just to make sure it's secured. Once you have that second row completed, I like to hold my cone with this hand. That way I can easily start wrapping. You do want to wrap as close as you can to the row beneath it. However, you're going to notice that I'm going to start making some gaps. And I like to work in a little section at a time. And I don't necessarily mean to make those gaps, but I'm not perfect. So this is what happens. So you'll start seeing I have these gaps here, and that's okay. I do several layers of yarn, and so I kind of like it looking chunky. So I go back in and I fill in those gaps. So you just want to continue this process. So you're going to go all the way with the yellow, all the way until you hit this mark. Once you've covered your mark and you feel that you like your yellow ribbon, if you feel that there's some places that you need to go back and kind of fill in the gaps a little, this is a great time to do that. You just want to transition back up to the top when you are ready to move on to the next color. Once you are, just go ahead and cut off your yarn. I actually pull a little bit back, and then I just hot glue where my yarn is going to go. And again, I like to work in little sections because I think it's easier to put a little bit of glue down before you put too much. And then again, I just lightly tap that. So there you go, that's our first color transition. You're gonna repeat the exact same steps for the orange. Okay, so you're gonna do your 2 loops with the hot glue and make your 2 solid loops with the orange, and keep wrapping all the way until you hit this mark. So it'll be the exact same transition. The last thing I'm gonna show you how to do is when you get to the top and how you're gonna fill this top part in. So let's move on. So on this one right here, you can see that I've already transitioned into the orange color, so I'm gonna show you how I transition into the white. So I'm gonna start with my 2 loops of hot glue. So again, I'm just gonna put a little bit down. I am going to gather my white yarn. I'm gonna put this in. And if you feel that your yarn is secure with only doing one, then that's okay. Then just do 1 loop. But again, I like to make sure that it doesn't want to unravel, so I like to do 2. I feel that it's really secure then. Like I mentioned before, this is a great DIY home project that you can do just to add any home decor. One of the other things, and I may show you in a little bit, is you can always add some googly eyes onto these in case you want to make them look a little more kid-friendly. That would be really fun, you can do. And like I said, the colors, whatever you want to use as far as ribbon would really dictate the season or the occasion of what this little home decor project could be like. But these would be great, even if you wanted to use them for any kind of party. Whatever color the party is gonna be, you can use this to make a great little party decoration. So I added my 2 loops of the hot glue, and then now I'm going to start wrapping. But as you can notice, there's a little gap. What I like to do is when I start wrapping, I kind of overlap a little on the orange just to make sure that there is a seamless transition, so you can't really see where I put the hot glue or if there was any imperfections there. So I'm going to wrap all the way to the top, and then I'll show you how I finish this off. Just kind of unravel the yarn. So once I get to the top, I'm gonna finish this the same way that I had been. So I'm going to cut a little yarn. I'm going to put some hot glue, because this is where the top would be. A little more just to secure that in place. Okay, so now I have an unfinished top part here. So this is what I do. I start on the outside. So from here, I'm gonna place a little bit of glue right around the edge of this. And I'm just gonna wrap my yarn. I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna, ooh, I pushed down too quickly. Go around. So this is gonna cover my top. And so same thing, I just kind of pat it down. And again, I like to work in sections. So I just put a little more glue. And I'm gonna spiral this on the inside, on the top part right here. So hopefully you can see that I just go around, spiral it in there, press a little on the glue, until I get to the center. And when I decide, okay, it's gonna need just a little more yarn right in there, I'm gonna cut it, and I'm going to press that down. And then once I complete that, now I can go back and just kind of touch up this top part right here. And again, I'm just gonna add a little glue where I think I need it. And then just wrap around, just so I'm covering all of the styrofoam. So once I feel that, okay, seems like a good, I think I got all my little gaps fixed. I'm just gonna cut it. See, like right here, I have a little bit of splitting, and that's okay. I'm just gonna add a little more hot glue right there and press it down so I know nothing is gonna come out. And that's how you complete your candy corn tree. Thank you so much for joining me today. We hope to see you back next time.